Is there any other series as synonymous with the medium of video games as Rockstar's cultural juggernaut Grand Theft Auto? Since its humble beginnings all the way back in 1997, the series has gone on to sell over 350 million copies across multiple entries, cementing its position as one of the most successful entertainment properties in history. To celebrate the release of Grand Theft Auto The Trilogy, the definitive edition, I hate that name, we rounded up the help of the Pushquare community to vote for their favourite Grand Theft Auto titles. The result is this: your list of the 12 best Grand Theft Auto games on PlayStation. Yours, not mine. Please don't shout at me, I'm very sensitive. This feature was originally written by the wonderful Sammy Barker over on the Pushquare website and was adapted for video by me, Liam. Hi. Anyway, enough of that, let's dive in. Developed and deployed as an expansion pack for the core GTA game, GTA London 1969 adheres to all of the same gameplay systems as its top-down predecessor. The key difference is that it's set in an environment inspired by real-world London during the late 1960s, and includes some regionally appropriate slang. Sadly, the map's not really as interesting as the fictional US cities found in the core game, and all of the gameplay issues of that original release remain. The game that started it all is at number 11, and to be honest, it's not really a good one. DMA Design's iffy isometric arcade game GTA spans 3 different maps: Liberty City, San Andreas, and Vice City. While these would go on to become some of the most iconic open worlds in gaming, this bizarre arcade experience in which you take on missions from telephone booths sees you carrying out tasks in order to earn points, presented as money in order to progress. With an unfair difficulty curve and cumbersome controls, the release was largely panned at the time, but would go on to give birth to one of the biggest brands in entertainment. A refinement of the original top-down GTA, GTA 2 introduces some quality of life improvements, like the ability to save, but adopts the same core structure, completing missions in order to earn points. There's a GAN system whereby you can take on work from one faction and affect your relationship with another, but the cumbersome controls and muddy graphics make this a challenging proposition from a contemporary perspective. Originally released for the Nintendo DS and later ported to the PSP, Grand Theft Auto Chinatown Wars is the most recent handheld entry in Rockstar's prestigious sandbox series. Adopting a top-down viewpoint, this sharply presented story, starring snarky Triad member Juan Lee, harks back to the PlayStation 1 titles. With laugh-out-loud comic book panel cutscenes and an impressively dense drug-trading minigame, this release provides some respite from the more modern entries in the franchise. A mind-boggling achievement at the time, Rockstar managed to squeeze its entire Liberty City sandbox onto Sony's spangly handheld hardware, delivering a full GTA story on the go. Although GTA Liberty City Stories is set in 1998, prior to the events of GTA 3, many characters from the seminal PlayStation 2 title cameo, further fleshing out Rockstar's fictional world. The gameplay is somewhat limited compared to contemporary entries. There are no aircrafts, for example, but having an open world in your hands was simply stunning in 2005. Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories is the second major handheld installment in Rockstar's crime series, and it turns back time to 1984, 2 years before the events of Vice City. Playing as military corporal Victor Vic Vance, the release sticks closely to the blueprints established by its contemporaries, seeing you building a criminal empire by purchasing rackets and compounds. Exclusive to the Xbox 360 at first, as Microsoft fought to strangle Sony's dominance in the console market, GTA Episodes from Liberty City combined 2 Grand Theft Auto 4 expansion packs, The Lost and the Damned and The Ballad of Gay Tony. Intertwined with Nico's story from the core campaign, Rockstar sought to shine a light on different sides of Liberty City, with Johnny Klebitz exploring biker culture and Luis Fernando Lopez looking into the life of a socialite. Both add-ons were a little lighter than the main game, with Gay Tony in particular adding popular activities like base jumping. the game that pioneered a revolution. Rockstar single-handedly popularized the open world genre when it released GTA 3 in 2001. Set in Liberty City and starring a 2-bit gangster named Claude, the release introduced an urban playground with overlapping systems for you to lose yourself within. This is widely regarded as one of the most influential titles of all time, and while it may not impress from a contemporary perspective, it's impossible to ignore the raw impact of this outing. Acclaimed at the time but remembered less fondly, GTA 4 encapsulates the PlayStation 3 era. Its muted colour palette, jittery frame rate, and woolly controls all make it hard to return to in modern times. However, the story of immigrant Nico arriving in Liberty City in search of the American dream sets up some hilariously cynical writing and plenty of bombastic set pieces. Sandwiched between the sunny settings of San Andreas and GTA 5, the game can feel a little cold, but this was Rockstar at its rawest. Where's our remaster? A game so popular that it's existed through 3 console generations, Grand Theft Auto V's unwavering commercial success makes Los Santos the most iconic open-world game ever made. Its ambitious, multi-pronged campaign, starring downbeat middle-aged gangster Michael, witty wannabe Franklin, and bona fide psychopath Trevor, is littered with memorable moments including a bank heist and a jewelry store robbery. But it's online where the title has earned its longevity, offering a multiplayer experience unlike anything else available. An extraordinary escapade set during the 80s, Grand Theft Auto Vice City perfects many of the mechanics first introduced in the rough-around-the-edges Grand Theft Auto 3, and blends it with an iconic era. Playing as mobster Tommy Vercetti, this release is as much about its style and soundtrack as it is its sandbox. Impressively, Vice City proves an engaging playground, and provides the freedom for you to build your own criminal empire, all set to the sounds of Flash FM, of course. For many, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas is the pinnacle of open-world design, or at least the gold standard that so many developers aim to ape. Even today, Rockstar tapped into every bit of the PlayStation 2's horsepower with this enormous open world, spanning 3 enormous cities. With a razor-sharp storyline set in the 1990s, this release captures its cynical outlook on the United States with a memorable cast of characters and a number of life simulation mechanics which embed you in the fictional state of San Andreas like few other games are able to. An absolute masterpiece. So there we have it, your list of the 12 best Grand Theft Auto games. Do you agree with this list? Have a big argument in the comments below. Otherwise, if you enjoyed this video, please do consider giving it a like and make sure to subscribe to Push Square for everything PlayStation. Thank you, as always, for watching.